Hello, my colorful companions. It's Silent Signs from I Dream of Indie, and today we are taking a look at Rainbow Billy, The Curse of the Leviathan. This is, as described by the developers, a wholesome creature capture 2.5D adventure puzzle platformer with RPG elements. Got all that? In Rainbow Billy, you are playing as none other than Billy himself, who is having a splendid, colorful day with his friends when suddenly darkness encompasses everything. It takes the colors away from everything and it makes everyone miserable. All of this gloom and doom is caused by Leviathan, a gigantic dragon who wants to drag everyone down with him. Now it's up to Billy and the power of friendship to restore color to the world and make everybody just a little bit more secure in themselves in the process. As far as the actual mechanics of the game go, you are navigating from island to island using the friend ship, which is literally a ship that is also your friend. Once you're on an island, you'll have some basic platforming to contend with, things like jumping from obstacle to obstacle. You'll also have some light puzzle solving, for example, hitting switches in the correct order or sliding snowballs around on a grid. Your ultimate goal on each island that you land on is going to be to turn it from black and white back to color. And you'll usually accomplish this by a confrontation with the resident beastie. Mind you, the game uses the word confrontation very lightly. There's very little fighting in Rainbow Billy. What you're usually doing is using your words of encouragement to make these creatures realize that their insecurities aren't necessarily a tragic flaw, but could actually be a strength. Lifting them up with these words of encouragement, you not only get to change the island back to color, but they'll typically join your team as well. This means they'll join you on the good old friendship, where you can then in turn level up their abilities by providing them with gifts. These creatures will then be able to join you in your confrontations and help encourage the others to join your team as well. These confrontations are a really unique approach to a sort of turn-based battle system meets mini-games. You are essentially given two options: to talk or to listen. If you choose talk, you'll have to choose your words carefully. You'll be given a set of options to choose from, and some of those will be to encourage your foe, some of them will be to take them down a notch. Obviously, your ultimate goal is to win their heart over, and in order to do so, you'll have to do some listening as well. From there, you'll have a set amount of turns that you're able to take. You can choose creatures from your inventory, the folks that you've already recruited, and each of them will have different abilities that they can use in battle, represented by different shapes. Likewise, whoever you're facing off against will have a set of shapes that need to be filled in, so you can kind of fill in the rest from here. You have to use the correct corresponding shapes from the creatures that you've already recruited. In order to be successful in your attack, you'll have to complete a series of mini-games. The type of mini-game you'll have to use is typically represented on the top left-hand corner of the tile that you're using, and these mini-games range from everything from a Pong-like game to a basic rhythm game. The more successful you are in that minigame, the more hits you'll get towards that enemy. And by hits, I mean more like encouragement points or corresponding shapes to match the shapes that they have. It sounds really complicated, but I assure you, as soon as you play it, it kind of all falls into place. If you find the game to be too challenging in its native state, there is a difficulty slider which you can adjust to your liking. There's also some great accessibility options for if you happen to have dyslexia, or if you're colorblind. In addition to the combat, in air quotes, as well as the exploration and critter collecting, you also have little other bits of gameplay such as fishing that are built into the various worlds that you're going to explore, as well as just sailing your boat, which is a little mini game in and of itself. You really need to keep an eye on your rainbow fuel if you want to make it from one island to the next, and collect thoughts along the way, which you can hatch in the thought processor machine, which can hatch some pretty cool imaginative ideas in and of itself. Rainbow Billy is one of those games that's really difficult to explain unless you are actually playing it yourself, but it's really easy to grasp once you actually have your hands on it, no pun intended. It is not necessarily a challenging game, but it does make you think in some rather outside of the box ways. This game takes what I really enjoyed about Undertale, which was the ability to confront enemies without actually causing harm, and just puts all of the focus on that kindness and empathy. And I think that goes a long way here. It's an incredibly wholesome game. It's certainly non-violent, and it does keep things light while also delving into some more serious topics such as mental health, jealousy, insecurities, but it does it in a very gentle way. While it does explore these heavier topics, it never does so in such a way that would make this game inappropriate for, say, a younger audience. Rainbow Billy does try to cram a lot of different types of gameplay into one game, but to be honest, I like that. I like the combat system, I liked the exploration, I liked the puzzle solving, I loved collecting all of the critters and keeping them in the friendship and making them happy with gifts. At no point did it ever feel overwhelming or stressful. It was always kept incredibly light, which leads me to how this game looks. It's a freaking Rainbow Skittles commercial. The graphics look somewhere between a Cartoon Network show and Cuphead. It has that almost historical looking cartoon from the 1930s vibe meets Adventure Time or Gravity Falls. It also sort of has that Paper Mario aesthetic where it's a 2D character in a 3D world. It's not a completely original concept here, but it does work well in the context of this game. The animations are also great. There's really adorable little cutscenes in between action. You can't look at or play a game called Rainbow Billy and not smile. As far as the soundtrack goes, that's no exception as well. They are really great, hummable little tunes. They remind me of some of the classic platformers from my childhood, like Donkey Kong Country or Crash Bandicoot. It definitely has those island vibes with the sort of steel drum, xylophone kind of sounds, but it also has some great battle tunes and some awesome synth thrown in there as well. Sound effects are also great, and you do get not quite voice acting, but some gibberish for each character, which I found pretty enjoyable. If you're asking me, which I suppose you are because you're watching my review, I think Rainbow Billy really nailed the presentation. Looking at the entire spectrum of this game, I'd say, once again, it looks and sounds fantastic. I think it's a lot of fun, and it takes a really nice approach to confrontation and the kind of overall topics of mental health in general. I would say it does get on the wordy side at times. There are some moments of dialogue that I kind of just wanted to skip through and get to the next action sequence. But as long as you know what you're signing up for here, and that is a non-violent, quite chipper little RPG meets platformer, then I think you'll have a really good time with Rainbow Billy. And that's why this rainbow leads to a golden genie lamp of approval from me. Thank you so much for checking out our review of Rainbow Billy, The Curse of the Leviathan. If you haven't already, don't forget you can subscribe down below so you don't miss any reviews or previews. Before I go, I just want to thank our indie warriors Mitchell Hall, Bunny Cavalo, Bill Tikaz, Christian Cruz, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Peach, Adriana Amato, CJR, PSC, C Coil, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Jesse, CPM, Julian Colbus, JRS8, and Raylan. Thank you all so much for your support, and I'll see you next time.